that will be uploaded on the event page right after this meeting, and also later on there will be the recording, which will be shared on the same page. And finally, we will have a couple of Slido interactive slides. So if you want to respond, it's really some questions just to get all a bit more involved, but keep your phone handy and you can scan the QR code. So I will also, and then I'll stop talking, I swear, but give a little bit of an overview of what Scalable Cities is. And we always do this for people who may not be yet familiar with the work of Scalable Cities and all the support services that we offer. So Scalable Cities is a initiative of the European Commission that started around 3 years ago, and it started as a bottom-up initiative from cities coordinators who felt the need to support each other and coordinate for the scaling up and replications of smart solutions. And as this desire for coordination grew, there was a greater desire for better governance and more structured governance, which led to the institution of the Scalable Cities. And so this initiative was born to create an opportunity for network and connection between stakeholders and guide cities towards Europe-wide replication and improvement of the performance of their solutions, and ultimately to the creation of a joint smart cities community in Europe. So the mission of Scalable Cities, therefore, is to identify and to promote solutions and business models that can be scaled up and replicated across Europe and lead to measurable outcomes such as energy savings and also job opportunities. So what Scalable Cities does is to follow lighthouse cities who are the first to implement solutions and practices and create a blueprint for replication, which will then be picked up by fellow cities to scale up these solutions. And the actors that are part of these communities are on a wide spectrum, both political and technical, and include coordinators, researchers, industrial partners, associations, and consultants. And also the solutions are on a very broad spectrum. As you see here, there's innovation in mobility, smart buildings, smart infrastructure, citizen engagement, and much more. And I'm sure you're already familiar with some of them. So a look at the map as well, which I love maps. I love to see where these things are happening and see how broad the action of a scalable city is. And the 18 projects that have come to be part of these communities have created across 120 cities more than 550 solutions. So it's a broad community, and there's on the screen here some of the key data of what has been achieved so far. And of course, this community is constantly growing and integrating new projects as other projects come to an end. And also more people are joining, so that's good to see. And here is finally a little bit of an overview of which projects are there. Some of these are already come to an end, but they span over the course of 10 years from 2014, and now we're in 2024. So we'll see this community grow further. Finally, support services. Today we will be talking, as I said before, about the Action Grant, which is a financial support tool. But for example, in our last cafe, we tackled the Roadshow, which is another solution, another service that we offer for financial support and financial knowledge. And there are many more. Some of these we've already discussed in our cafes, but some of these we will be discussing further. And of course, if you want more information about any of these, they are present on the Smart Cities Marketplace website, and also you can always write us from the Secretariat for more information and join the other cafes, but that comes without saying. So before I leave the word to Sofia, I always like to do this as well. As I said, I love maps and I love to visualize where everybody's joining us from. So if you care to scan the QR code on the screen and let us know which city you're joining from, I would be happy to know. And after this, we can officially start with the presentation. So We have a very big, nicely big group today, so I'm very happy to see that, and some new cities as well. Nice. Oh, a lot of people from Bologna, and good to see. I'm also from Italy, full disclosure, yes. Okay, lovely. Okay, well, good. I see like most of the people attending already contributed. So, yes, this was my last contribution. I always, yeah, love to have an idea of where you are when we're speaking. And if no one is going to add any more cities, I will just leave the word to Sofia and give her the opportunity to present to you this great service that we offer. And I will then go to the next slide and thank you, and we'll see you back at the Q&A. So Sofia, please, if you want to mute yourself.
Yes, thank you, Silvia. And nice to meet you, to all of you. Maybe some of you already know me. My name is Sofia Corsi. I work for Energy Cities. And together with my colleague Elina, that you might have met at some point, we are the two coordinators of two of the services of the Scalable Cities Secretariat, the City Coordinators Group that we presented in another Scalable Cities Café a few months ago, I think it was already, and the Action Grant. So I hope that this will be a good opportunity for you to ask all of the unanswered questions and get answers. So we can go to the next slide. So this is, I think it's another question from Silvia. So have anyone in this room ever applied to an action grant from Scalable Cities? Still haven't? Maybe somebody did?
Also, this call then is even more useful, I would say.
Okay, yeah, so.
Okay, so most of you haven't.
Some people, yeah, already 9 people said that they haven't. So I think that most people haven't. And maybe this is also the reason why you're here today. So, okay, thank you for answering to this question. We can go to the next slide. So as Silvia was already explaining, and she already briefly introduced what is Scalable Cities. This Scalable Cities is really an initiative that was aimed to make sure that all the knowledge that was gathered within this now 20 lighthouse projects is not lost, because the Commission has invested almost €500 million in these projects. So the idea is really to make sure that all of the knowledge that was gathered in these 20 projects is actually circulated amongst the community and not necessarily, and also spread across Europe. The Action Grant is a financial tool to support this. So the real objective of this tool is really to offer financial support, because it funds projects up to €50,000, and it's a 100% funded projects with no co-funding, which is always very attractive. We're super aware that it's not a very big sum, it's more seed funding, but it's a sort of seed funding that can support a city to try to understand what other cities from the Scalable Cities communities and other partners have already tested and successfully tested, and learn how to replicate it in their own local context. So the grant is implemented in collaboration and partnership with the European Commission and CINEA. And it's really meant to provide financial support to cities and ad hoc partnerships to ensure that really this knowledge transfer and this continuity and replication of the tested solutions throughout these projects. It acts and it is implemented through 4 call for proposals. 2 of them have already closed now. The second has closed during the summer. And now, as Silvia was saying before, we have a 3rd call that is currently open and will stay open until the end of this month, until the 31st of January. And there will be a 4th call, so there will be a sort of overlap. And the new call that will start will be kicked off and launched most likely, hopefully, at the end of February, if not possible, very beginning of March, but we're really aiming for the end of February. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So this is mainly to share a bit about the eligibility criteria. So the action grant is mainly targeting cities, but it's actually open to any kind of stakeholders. So it is open to energy agencies, to any kind of consultancy company that is working for and on behalf of a city, any kind, so profit and non-profit companies and organizations, universities, but also, and of course, cities as well, and in associations of cities. So it's really open to almost all stakeholders, maybe not except for, of course, European institutions. But what is important is that any project that is submitted should in the end benefit a city. And this is why one of the eligibility criteria and requirements is to submit a political commitment from the main beneficiary city. So maybe which means that if the main applicant is, for example, either an energy agency or a consultancy that is working on behalf of the city, this lead applicant should either, of course, if possible, involve the city as a partner in the project, as a consortium, which is, we advise you to do that. But then in any case, you would need the political commitment and a letter of political support from the city saying that the city is willing to participate in the project and to benefit from whatever results will be developed by the city. In terms of eligibility, and geographical eligibility, the action grant is addressing all countries that were eligible through the Horizon 2020 rules, which means also the UK, which is a very common question that we are often asked. So also the UK, but also many non-European countries that can benefit from Horizon 2020 funding. And all of this is written in the application, and it's in an annex of the call for proposal. Another requirement is that the city that will mainly benefit from the project needs to be a city who has a SECAP or a SEAP approved. So, or if not a SECAP or a SEAP, it should be as another climate action plan that is as ambitious as a SEAP or a SECAP. So we are often asked if cities that don't have a SECAP but have a SEAP are eligible, and the answer is yes, they are. And by the way, you can always check the Covenant of Mayors webpage, where you will find immediately in 1 second if the city has the SEAP or a SECAP approved. Next slide, please. So in order to apply for the action grant, you have to do it online through the Scalable Cities Action Grant portal, which is the one in this link that is also, of course, described into the call for proposal. As I said, I will also present the third call more in detail in a second, but the application process is usually open for at least 2, and every time that we can, for 3 months. And then the evaluation period usually takes around 3 months. The last, during the second call, we had a delay, mainly caused by the Commission, and we had to wait for like 4 months, but usually 3 months should be the top. Yeah, so you can find all the information on the Smart City Marketplace webpage, where you will find all the information on the action grant. You can also find information on projects that were funded in the past and during the previous calls, and you can find all the attachments and for the application. The portal is also the same portal that then will be used for the management of the grant. So within the portal, you will also find, once that your applications are submitted, if the project is approved, you will be able to upload reports online through the portal. So as I said, all projects are 100% funded unless projects are applying for more than 50,000 euros. In that case, we can co-fund up to 50,000 euros. And we usually pay a 30% pre-financing at the beginning of the project, and then we pay the final payment after the end of the project, after the final report is approved. So we can go to the next slide. So this is about the third call for proposal that was launched already in Trondheim, if I'm not mistaken, at the very beginning of October, and which deadline will be the 31st of January. This call is mainly targeting three main topics. These topics, for your information, are the results of conversations and discussions that we had with cities during the previous months before we launched this call. So we usually organize a lot of consultations through surveys, through emails, through in-person meetings. We had an in-person meeting in Trondheim to discuss the topics of the fourth call. So all of the topics are usually really agreed with the cities and are responding to what the cities tell us we should fund. So we're really trying to make this tool as useful as possible for cities. Of course, if we don't receive too many inputs, then we fund what the cities ask us to fund. So if only 3 cities tell us what to fund, we then go for that. So this specific call will target 3 topics. One of them is community energy. So everything, actions that are aimed at supporting the promotion and development of energy communities and community energy projects. Strand 2 will be about positive energy districts. Of course, we're very well aware that it won't be possible to set up a positive energy district with 50,000 euros. It would be too ambitious, but all actions that can help to think about a positive energy district and how to start. So, for example, all feasibility studies, study visits in other cities, also to understand what other cities have done, also digitalization projects like the purchase of smart sensors, or also the purchase of softwares, like really diverse actions that can help you to set up a positive energy district. And then the third strand, it's also a legacy from the second call for proposal, and it will fund data and digitalization projects. So as I was saying, the Scalable Cities Action Grant can be used to fund all the mainly preparatory actions that can help you to, for example, hire either internal resources, if you're already a municipality, for example, that can help you to improve on one of these topics. Or, for example, you can also use it to hire external experts that can help you develop feasibility studies and other kind of actions to achieve one of these objectives. You can also use it to buy in small infrastructural costs. For example, if you need to buy, I don't know, some cities wanted to buy smart sensors that is eligible, for example, or softwares, or yeah, so like this. Next slide. And this is maybe it's just this is about the fourth call. So we don't have a final decision on the fourth call yet. So just for your information, what you see on the screen, it's not final. But the idea is to launch the fourth call by the end of February, with an indicative deadline at the end of May, and an indicative start of projects in September 2024. And ideally, what we wish to fund in the fourth call, according to all the inputs and feedback that we have received by cities and other stakeholders over the last months, we would like to fund mobility solutions and to keep the pets strand, depending also on how many projects do we receive during the third call. For example, we decided to keep the data and digitalization strand in the third call because we received over like 20 projects on data and digitalization during the second call, and we were not able to fund all of them. So we encouraged those that were not funded to reapply in the third call, and we kept the strand. So according the results of the second call, we might decide to keep the positive energy districts strand. And depending on the availability of funding, maybe we will also have 2 additional strands just to allow as many projects and diverse projects as possible to be submitted, one on energy community and one on data and digitalization. We will have the confirmation from CINEA regarding the budget of the 4th call in the next month. So we are really waiting for CINEA's decision to finalize the call and prepare and launch it. And then ideally, we wish this call to also tackle 2 transversal priorities that were also raised in many, many meetings. One of them is the capacity building and strengthening also capacities and skills of both city representatives, but also city advisors that are working with cities. And then societal aspects, which is very, very, very vague, but is like how to tackle societal aspects and to put cities at the center of the transition. And so this is also related to everything that is, for example, citizens' participation strategies. Yes, so we can go to, yes, maybe just one detail that I didn't mention is that action grants projects are usually up to 12 months long. So as you can understand, they're usually short-term projects that are really helpful for a city to kick off an idea or to start discussing, to pay those feasibility studies that usually a city doesn't have funding to do, to support it. But the 4th call, we aim to have it shorter, of 6 to 10 months. We noticed that in the second call, most projects were shorter than 12 months, also maybe also because of the funding. So the idea is that the 4th call will also be shorter. Thank you. And here I listed a list of inspirational, it's a sort of inspirational carousel, and a list of ideas that were funded during previous calls that I hope that can help you also and give you inspiration and can encourage you to apply for the 3rd and the 4th call. So we can go to the next slide. So one of them is advancing an existing digital twin prototype, so including internal preparation for public tenders, organizing workshops with technical and business teams, for example. The next one, capacity building on data for municipal staff to break data silos, to improve data literacy and to improve decision-making, for example. The 3rd one is developing a smart city roadmap, so setting up an e-learning platform, delivering workshops and other learning activities for city staff and citizens. For example, implementing small-scale pilot cases, for example, the smart census idea that I mentioned earlier. And the next one, energy efficiency training for municipalities' technical staff, for building managers and for vulnerable citizens, for example, living in social housing, etc. Replication of the Positive Energy District Innovation Atelier, including creation of an energy transition team in city government involving strategic and operational personnel. This was another project on tackling the social dimension of climate change, so reach diverse citizens group through, for example, communication activities, collective public events related to climate action, workshops with focus groups. I think this one is the final one, setting up a citywide energy and climate data repository or monitoring system, for example, to support the implementation of the CCAP and monitoring effectiveness and detect municipalities' vulnerabilities. So I think this one is the last one. So maybe these are just ideas. Then if you ask me about the details of all of these projects, this is just a summary of some of the ideas that were collected from the previous calls. That I can tell you in detail what each project is doing because there are many, many, many projects. But what we can do, in case you're interested, it's also to connect you with cities that have done a specific thing. So, for example, one of the questions that I'm often asked is where to find information on the successful solutions that were developed from the Lighthouse projects, which is a very tricky question for me to answer, because we don't have an official repository of all of these solutions. But if you go through this Smart City Marketplace website, there is a list of all these projects with the links. And if you just connect through the links of each project, there are very smart projects and website where you can find an overview of the solutions that were developed. And what we did in the past already with some cities that were interested in applying was to connect you with the city in particular that developed a specific solution. So we are able, as Scalable Cities Secretariat, of course, through the city coordinators group, to also connect you directly with the city that was in charge of developing a specific solution. We did it, for example, for Valencia and Le Paya in the previous call. And we're happy to do it whenever we are aware of who developed which solution. In the document, in the call for proposal, you will also see that there are examples of what can be funded, and there are also reference documents that you can use referring to specific solutions. So, for example, we have a very comprehensive data and digitalization report that includes different solutions that were developed by Scalable Cities projects on the topic of data and digitalization. And for positive energy districts and also the other strengths, we have added relevant reference that you can refer to in your project application. So maybe it's time for me to stop and maybe leave some space for questions.
Thank you very, very much, Sofia. This was another of your great and very clear presentations. So I'm also popping the link to submit the application in the chat, since it was on one of the slides. Maybe useful to have it there as well. I see there is a raised hand, but we also have a question from a bit earlier on. So I will just address that one first, since it came throughout your presentation. It is Piotr asking, what about another energy and climate plans? Is that okay? Not SECAP or SEP, but under national framework. We have used these alternative plans for the EU CF. Can we implement a similar approach? And obviously, if you want to add more layers to your question, and Piotr, and you want to unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, Sofia, if you're able to.
I think I got it. Yes. So yes, we apply the same rule of EUCF. So as I was trying to explain, yes, we also accept national or regional plans if they are as ambitious as a SECAP. So the only problem is that if the SECAP is approved, you directly get the points for it. If it's not, the evaluator during the application phase will evaluate your plan, and according to the decision of the evaluator, you will get or not the plan approved, and therefore get the points and the application score or not. So as a general rule, yes, but it's not me who is assessing it. So you cannot ask me to say, is this enough? Because I can't say that. It's really the evaluator of each application.
Okay. Obviously, if you need any more clarification on this, again, please raise your hand. Otherwise, in the meantime, I will go to Marco, who raised also his hand. Maybe you want to speak up, Marco? You should be able to unmute yourself. Yes. Hello.
Hi, Silvia and Sofia. Nice to see you again. As you know, I come from AES, which is an Italian energy agency. We are considering to apply directly to this grant to support initially maybe one, since it's linked to the single municipality, but in future to develop a service linked to the energy communities topic, in order to help them not only setting up, as we're already doing, but also to potentially manage in future, at least in a first phase, until there is a market for energy management, energy community management, since we are already being asked to support not only the setup, but also the management. I would like to understand if such a service could be helped by this grant. You mentioned about the possibility to buy software licenses, to buy also some monitoring systems. and also to develop maybe our tools, having some extra external consultancy for developing, I don't know, business models and business plans, and our internal tools. However, I didn't see an exact fitting with any of the 19 projects around the Scalable Cities portfolio. So I tried to check all of them, and most of them are linked more to smart cities in general, or pets, or other topics. So I wanted to understand if I could potentially build an application around the topics that you mentioned in the grant application itself, considering the examples, or if I need to find the closest of the scalable cities and say it's different, but it's the closest that I found, something like that.
Okay.
Or I should fit more with something that is, I don't know, triangulum, match up, and try to replicate in one of our cities.
So hi Marco, good to see you again. So the answer is that all projects need to have a link with the Scalable Cities project, because this link is one of the questions in the application, and you need to highlight it. So the risk is that if you don't highlight the link to a specific project, you don't get the scores for that specific question, and therefore it's unlikely that your project will be granted. So the main objective of the action grant is really to replicate some of the solutions that were already tested. Then, said that, of course, it is impossible to replicate perfectly a solution in a different city. But I can tell you that there are many cities in the Scalable Cities communities that are working and have worked on energy communities. And potentially, if we're able to strongly highlight the fact that, for example, Matchup project in Valencia, they did a lot on community energy. For example, if we're able to highlight the fact that you're aiming to take this and then to readapt it to a different context. So therefore, of course, what you propose is different, but you're taking either the business model or, I don't know, the purchase, I don't know, the collaboration between the consortium, the community, to replicate that, then it's doable and you can do it. So it's a vague answer, I know. But in principle, yes, everything can be funded through the action grant, but you need to build a case that is connected to a lighthouse project. And
going through the description in the marketplace, I didn't see the mentioning explicitly mention energy communities, which is a new topic as far as I understand.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the topics that was tackled by most of the lighthouse projects, because of course they talked about smart city, but then I mean, many projects and cities have set up energy communities, for example, in different way, and they did different things. So, for example, you should know that right now there is a new task group that is part of the Scalable Cities community on energy communities. First, potentially, you are welcome to join it if you're interested. Second, if you send me an email, I would be happy to connect you with David from the city of Kladno, who is coordinating it and could potentially refer you to ideas and projects that have done things on energy communities. And I can myself also connect you with other ideas and cities that I know for sure that did things on energy communities. Then, of course, there are 500 solutions that have been tested, and I must be very honest, I can't say that I know all of them. So I would definitely lose some, but I can connect you to other people that can maybe have more information.
Okay, thanks. Just because I'm already talking, a very brief question. I heard that there is no compatibility with a UCF application or UCF grant already taken or under the process of being taken, or a city can also apply to a UCF, or someone that already applied to UCF can apply to this Scalable City?
Yeah, we're two different initiatives. I mean, of course, it's always energy cities coordinating the two things, but we're completely different projects and initiatives, so you can apply to both.
Okay, so we have a different information. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, also because we don't do the cross-check of who already got the UCF and vice versa.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Marco and Sofia. I just am picking up two more questions that came through the chat. The first one is from Elina asking, or Elina, can lighthouse cities apply for all strengths, or are some themes excluded from for lighthouse cities? I don't know if the question. Okay, perfect. You get all of them. So great.
Yes, because this was because during the first two calls, lighthouse cities were excluded from some of the strengths, because the idea is mainly to support follower cities, so the cities who got less money during the Scalable Cities, during the lighthouse projects. But it's not like this anymore, mainly because most projects have ended. So lighthouse cities can apply for an action grant as soon as they are proposing an action that is not that is extending what was done by the project, but not related. And if the project is still ongoing, it should be clearly stated it's not a double funding, but it's an extension and to, for example, replicate something in another neighborhood or in another city or in another, this. I don't know if I answered the question. I hope so,
Well,
Elina.
Hopefully, but if not, if you have any follow-up, again, unmute yourself or write another line. Otherwise, I will pass to the question below. So can beneficiaries participate within all three aspects? So that means that they can receive a number of measure multiple of 5K. So for example, 2 measures for a total of 100. So are these basically, is it possible to combine different grants? I think that's the question.
So do you want the official or the honest answer? So the official answer is yes, you can apply to all the strengths. The unofficial answer is that it's unlikely that you will get more than one grant under the same call. So just to tell you how the evaluation works, when applications are submitted, the platform is automatically redirecting a number of applications to different evaluators. So it can be different evaluators evaluating different strengths. So it's not necessarily the same people, and it's more than one evaluator evaluating each application. Then they have to provide a score and a justification per each section of the application, and then they have to fill in the scoring, and then the platform is automatically calculating which are the best according to the scoring and the quality, of course. Which means that potentially the same city could apply to different strengths and get 3 projects. It's possible, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely because we try not to do it. So we try to also check if there is the same city that is applying to 3 different strengths. We can't really promise it. I mean, we can't, for example, promise that we will have applications from all the different countries in Europe. It can happen that we have only applications from Spain because they are the best. I don't know, I'm just saying a country, or from Romania, I don't know. But in principle, it's unlikely that you will get more than one application approved.
Great. In the meantime, I'm addressing a couple of things in the chat, but we also have another question from Lina, asking how does it work in terms of connecting with the lighthouse cities? So, for example, Valencia or Liepaja, sorry, terrible pronunciation on my side. But can it be done before the submission of the application?
Of course. So, for example, for the application of Liepaja and Valencia, the city of Liepaja contacted us, as for example, Marco just suggested that he would like to hear information from who they could learn from. And we suggested they could be in contact with Valencia because, if I'm not mistaken, they also wanted. No, it was not. It wasn't that in digitalization. It was on a different strand, but. So, and we connected them with the city of Valencia. They had bilateral meetings. We were not involved, of course, and they decided to work with them. So actually, the city of Valencia has provided tailored support and with several trips to Liepaja to show them what was done in Valencia and to help them to develop a plan to implement the similar solution in Liepaja. So in that case, we can support you to do this match. wherever we can and we know about this city. Then, of course, it's the city. It can happen. It happened already that some city representatives that used to be involved in lighthouse projects in a specific city moved on to a different position, so they're no longer working in the municipality, and the new person who took over the position is working on completely different projects. And in that case, it's not for granted that they are interested or they have the time and the capacity to provide you with the support and to be able to guide you in the process, but potentially we can create the connection.
Perfect. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so if anybody has more questions that they want to ask directly, you can raise your hand. So that will also be, oh, here we have a lot of questions today. You can really feel the energy of the 2024. So Felipe, if you want to speak up, go ahead.
Hi, Sofia. Hi, Silvia. Thanks for the presentation. I worked with Marco Costa on ICE, but I'm working in another project. And also we have idea to make a proposal. I'm working in an ongoing project regarding the energy communities, and we have the need, let's say, or the will to make a dedicated course of engagement in the schools, because we have this request from the municipality and we don't have the budget in the project to do this. So I want to know, one, if it's feasible, because as Marco have explained before, we didn't find any specific project regarding energy community. So we are in this case, I think, to make some reference to projects that work with engagement in the energy field. And also the question is, I have to make the contact with a project and have a tutor, a mentor of this project, or not, only make the reference to the project, because we don't have so much time to.
No. Yeah, I understand. So no, you just have to make a reference to the project to specify what specific solution you're trying to replicate. I don't think I mean, at least I'm not aware of any solution, any action that was done with the schools, but maybe there was, I don't know. So I'm sorry about this. I really don't know, but potentially.
Yeah. I just can make reference to to the projects that are in the marketplace, correct?
Yes, the lighthouse projects.
The lighthouse project.
I can also copy here the link.
Because also the research engine that is in the site, if you research for energy community, they didn't show any results. So it's a little bit tricky in this way.
For example, I know for sure, as you know, we also coordinate the City Coordinators Group, which is a group of the cities, the 124 cities that have participated in or are participating in these projects. And we have organized a session on energy communities. It was already in February of last year. And there was also the moment where we realized that there was a need to focus more on this topic, and we decided to actually address it in the next call for proposal. And I remember that there was the city of Ioannina that did a lot on that, the city of Amsterdam, the city of Valencia for sure. So, I mean, there are some cities that really did a lot on energy communities. Then I can't give you the details and the specificities, but you can potentially, if you connect to the website, you could send an email to the coordinator and ask.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Sofia. Is there anything else that's coming up from the participants? Other questions that you feel to ask in view of this call in particular? If there isn't, in the meantime, I would like to ask myself, because I think it's a good opportunity during this cafe. If you have any tips for something you haven't mentioned yet, but any suggestions to people that would like to apply on and have the best chances to receive the grant, any suggestions in that sense, Sofia?
Thank you for the question. Well, I think that one of the suggestions is really to highlight very well the link with the Lighthouse project, because as I was saying, it gives you, I don't remember if it's 10 or 15 points, so it's still relevant for the application. Then if you need the letter of political commitment from the city, you should ask for it in advance, because then many projects and consultants told us that they asked, they didn't got it on time, and there's nothing that we can do about it. So we cannot extend the deadline of the call or accept your application if you submit it after the deadline, because if you miss and lack the letter of political commitment, unfortunately your application is rejected. So that is pretty important. Then what else? That just for information, in the budget template, all the templates for the different sections of the application are online in the portal. You can download them there or also in the application. And especially in the Excel of the budget, a lot of applicants in the previous calls didn't notice that there is a second sheet that is on the justification. So that is important, and you should consider it. Oh, and I just remember a very important piece of information. That is that the budget is based on lump sums. It means that on the one hand, you won't have to report it. You won't have to do a financial report at the end of the project. On the other hand, it means that, for example, because this is a very common question, so thank you for asking this. For example, if you need to pay an expert that is usually paid 950 euros or 1,000 euros per day, something like that. We use a lump sum of 450 euros. So you need to ask, for example, for 2 lump sums to get the fee to match the fee of the expert, or 3 lump sums if it's. And then you need to do a compensation of how many days he works. So it's not that you have to pay the person 450 euros per day, or if you need to buy smart sensors and this costs, I don't know, I'm saying 10,000 euros, you need to do 10,000 euros and you divide it for 450, for example. I'm doing it now. 10,000 for 450. So you would apply for 20, you would request 22 lump sums. And then you have to go in the second sheet of the Excel and justify why you need 22 lump sums. And there you need to maybe explain that the smart sensors cost 10,000 euros and it's just that. So you need to add a small justification into the budget Excel part. On the other hand, if the project is approved, for your information, there's no interim report, of course, because it's very short projects. There's just a final report, which is a narrative report. And at the middle of the project, we usually organize an interview with the evaluator, ourselves from Energy Cities as grant managers, and of course the beneficiary, to understand how the project is going. So this is all, and we try to make it as simple as possible, really, to support and to encourage cities to apply, cities and other stakeholders, of course. Can we include internal personnel costs to develop tools and services, or is it necessary a transaction with external consultancies, for example? No, absolutely. You can include internal personnel costs, yes. So this is also why this grant can be useful, because you can also use it to improve your internal structure as a city. So yes.
Okay, it's very good to have these tiny tips, because those are the kind of last minute questions that always pop up. So it's great to have the assurance directly from you on how to best prepare the application. So if there is any other burning question that you want to direct to Sofia, I always have some questions myself, but obviously it's good to leave spaces to people who joined. So again, like if you need to step in and raise your hand. Otherwise, in the meantime, again, since we still have like 5 more minutes, you said that you're in the process of choosing the topics for the upcoming call, and you mentioned that there is a sort of consultations to choose those topics. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about which channels you're using to select and to coordinate and discuss potential topics for upcoming calls in a way that people that are joining today maybe can contribute their own ideas or what could be a good focus for the next call. So,
but
yeah.
here, sorry, because I misunderstood your question in the beginning. But in fact, the grant is managed through 4 call for proposals. So the 4th call will already be launched at the end of February. So we already have the topics for the 4th call. So there's no more time, unfortunately, to provide feedback for the next calls. And unfortunately, there won't be a 5th call because the service contract of Scalable Cities will end in September 2025. And this is why also we have shorter projects in the last call of until, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to end in August 2025, so that there's a month of space. But by the way, as I was saying at the beginning, we have we organized one online session in May, 25th of May last year, and one in-person session in Valencia end of March during Matchup final event. And we organized another in-person session in Trondheim, Norway in October this year. And in the meantime, we launched a survey over the summer. We launched it through Scalable Cities channels, which means mainly city coordinators group. So this group of cities and the coordinators of all of these 20 projects. And the coordinators as well have discussed the topics of this that were proposed, and they proposed the new topics. And then we used all of these reflections together with CINEA and the European Commission to agree on which could be the topics for the last call that will be launched at the end of February.
Oh, great. So this consultation, it's good to know
unfortunately
that it already know,
yes.
But it's good to know that it was very included many stakeholders. So, I mean, we'll be obviously giving all the details about the upcoming calls on the channels of Scalable Cities, so you can stay updated there. And we are incredibly on time, which I'm very happy about, because there were a lot of questions. And as always, thank you, Sofia, for very comprehensive answers. And obviously, if there is anything else that you need to ask, Sierra is still like from a previous from the city coordinators group, but we have the same contact points, and we can also drop the email in the chat. But you can get in touch with Sofia or Elina, who unfortunately is not here today, but is collaborating with Sofia as coordinator for the Action Grant. And otherwise, thank you very much again for joining today, for joining this call. And we hope it was useful for you to prepare for this call, or to have more information about the Action Grant in general. And I will be in the follow-up email share the link and the PDF to the presentation, and we will also be uploading the recording of this meeting in a way that you can go back and look at what was said. So again, thank you, Sofia. Thank you very much. We wish all of you a good rest of the day, and some coffee if you still hadn't had enough during this cafe. And see you at the next cafe. We will be letting you know about the future dates. So bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, and good luck to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you.
Thank you.